All right, so we are joined from Greenville, South Carolina, by Lacovia Stevenson, the owner of Alamo Boutique, as well as other various business ventures there in the Palmetto State. We thank you so much for joining us today. We've got a room full here of our entrepreneurship class at Velma Jackson High School, and we're recording this for our friends at Madison Central High School, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, and for our YouTube channel. We got some questions from the students we'll get to eventually, but we'd love to hear about how you got into being a entrepreneur there in Greenville, and what all it is you do. We've looked at your website, we've looked at your social media, Instagram, and the kids are very impressed. It's a very competitive industry, and we're about to start talking about competition in class because, especially in apparel, especially female apparel is one of the most competitive industries in America. So, we'd love to hear how you got started, how all this began, and what all it is you do.
Alrighty. So I do well, first off, I want to say thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be able to talk to you guys. So I do a number of things. So so aside from being a boutique owner, I'm also a South Carolina bail bondsman. I'm also a notary public for South Carolina and North Carolina. So I'm just now also extending, I should say, or my notary business with being a mobile signing agent. So I am now starting to take on contracts with mortgage companies so that I can sign off on loan modifications and different mortgage documents of the sort. So I'm excited about that. Um, so which business do you want to talk about in particular? The boutique?
Yeah, and what made you decide to go into business for yourself? Because obviously you got your hands on a lot of stuff, but you've become a successful black female business owner. So where did all this start? I mean, where did all this come from?
Well, it started from just growing up, just watching, my mom worked multiple jobs to try to make one income work. I decided for myself that I didn't want that struggle. I wanted to make sure that I was comfortable enough to take care of myself and my children. So I decided to, go into business for myself and start with something that I was very passionate about, which was clothing and styling. And that's kind of where I started. I started working in the corporate world, which introduced me to the notary side of things. I worked for a mortgage company. So they kind of introduced me to that, and I kind of took off with that as well. So I've always had the entrepreneurial mind with wanting to do things for myself and on my own. So I
Yeah,
just kind of took that and ran with it.
yeah, and that's important. I always say, even if you're not a full-time entrepreneur, being and having an entrepreneurial mind can make you a great employee, because
That's right.
even if you don't want to take that financial risk, being a business owner, having an entrepreneurial mind can make you a spectacular employee and can lead to great advancement, or it could just, and something I didn't even realize until we started doing this and started doing this during COVID, is that most entrepreneurs are not full-time entrepreneurs. They
Right.
have a part-time job where they still have a
Hmm.
steady income, because it is a huge financial risk. So
It is.
obviously you learned the business before you just jumped into it. Now, something with a few of our guests, something that just drives me crazy is as big of a fan as I am of her music. Jasmine Sullivan makes me so mad, and her song, she acts like starting a business is just so easy. I'm gonna move to Atlanta,
Oh,
start me a business. I'm like, it doesn't work like that. I know it's just a
does
song.
it?
It's not. I know it's just a song, and she's young, but there's a lot that goes into it. So obviously,
It
you
is.
had a passion for clothes, which is
Hmm.
a very competitive industry, but it's also a very needed industry. So what did you have to do to lay the groundwork for that? And then also, how do you stay competitive in such a competitive industry? Because people can get clothes anywhere.
That's right. So how I started is I started online. Um, while I was growing up, I was like, I used to put little things together, like scarves with my grandmother's sweaters and hats and things like that. And everybody would say, "Oh, that's cute. I like it." So I kind of grew up with a passion for clothing and styling. And so I came up with the idea of I wanted to do a online boutique. So I initially started online back in 2020. And I started that. I started using a drop shipper, meaning if you don't know what the drop shipper is I basically I am the storefront of a big company. And when somebody places an order for me, the order goes directly to the company and then the company ships it out. So I started off that way. And it started working for me. And then this year, I decided to open my own storefront to where I use vendors and order my own clothes and put them in the store. And of course, people come in and shop. Along with that, though, comes how I generate a lot of traffic and how I stay competitive. Is alongside my business, there is a hair salon. So yeah, a hair salon creates a lot of traffic of women that come in, and I'm right beside it, and it directs them to my store. So it's pretty much a marketing strategy, um, but it definitely works.
Yeah, and that's a great segue because we're actually going to talk about that in class Tuesday about the location. It's okay to be neat. It's okay, and actually, it's preferred. Obviously, you're not a direct competitor of a hair salon, but
Right.
they are an indirect competition. But at the same time, you got the same target market. So if you're
That's
drawing
right.
the same people there, they're going to spend money at both places. Now, I mean, you can split hairs on. They may spend more money here or there, but at the end of the day, you're going to have boots on the ground right there at you. So it's important,
Hmm.
sometimes depending on your target, to be located near these places. Now, we had a speaker here in Jackson just talk about. She started out on the online only, but she said
Hmm.
depending on who you're selling to, even though you have more cost involved when you have a storefront, because obviously you got to pay the rent, utilities, you got to pay employees, all that. You got to have the licensing, and depending on your state, your taxes. If you have a target market, if you're selling to an older crowd, they like to come, the 50 and up, they like to come in and touch things and be able to see it. They're not as technologically
Right.
savvy. So how does that strategy balance out? Because obviously you still have an online presence, but how is that
Hmm.
balanced out in having the storefront as well?
Well, it kind of works hand in hand. Um, so the people that I've targeted online with my marketing strategies, with buying ads and um, just promoting myself and marketing through Facebook and Instagram, and I've recently started TikToks. So that keeps my online presence there. In my in-store, I'm steady passing out flyers. I'm having specials. I'm having the salon owners pass out my information, that type of thing. So it kind of works hand in hand.
Yeah, and that's really cool. Now, how did you come about deciding your location? Because I've been to South Carolina a couple times in my life, but I'm not really familiar with the area. So, how did you determine your location when you decided to go to storefront?
I did a little research about my area, where the high traffic areas were, where the need was, like where's the area that has a lot of traffic that doesn't have any women clothing stores. And I kind of looked up on a suite that was in a plaza
Huh?
right beside a nail salon and a hair salon. So
Man, yeah, and stuff like that. I think for anybody wanting to go into that area, it's important to be patient because it may
right.
be a while before the perfect location opens up. I think there's two big mistakes I think a lot of entrepreneurs make, especially Black business owners, just from what I've seen, is that one, they get in a rush because they want to have a storefront because they want to put it on Instagram. We got a storefront now, but they're not waiting for the right.
That's right.
Now, the other thing, and we talk about this a lot, and I ask every guest the same thing about the other big mistake that I've seen young people make when we've had some come out of this class and start their own business. But the number one thing
Hmm.
I tell them is you're not charging enough. Immediately, I can
Right.
tell them that. Because, and
That's
it all
right.
gets back to your target market because you cannot have you may be 18 years old, but you can't think like what an 18-year-old is going to spend. A 25,
Hmm.
30, 35-year-old is going to spend more money than an 18-year-old. So
That's right.
how do you determine how to price your product? Because the big term I always use is perceived value. So if somebody thinks they're getting a great deal or if they're getting more bang for their buck, they're more likely to spend more. So how do you determine the
Right.
pricing of your items?
Well, I take in consideration first the price of the actual unit. then I have to take into consideration the overhead, how much it's going to cost me to run my business, how much it's going to cost me to buy the tags, the bags, the all of those things. I divide that up and tack it on to my core price, and that's how I get my unit prices.
Yeah, and it's like, and something we've heard from some of these businesses we've had is you can do little things like the packaging. You know, spending 10 cents more on your package
Hmm.
allow you to charge $1 more. Uh,
That's right.
or you know, and the trick I always fall for, because I referee multiple sports, and I have to buy stuff from vendors online, and they'll throw in the little thing like, you spend this much, you can get free shipping. I'll be $5 short of that. I'm like, and I'll buy one more thing. So yeah, you know, it's all about, and I'm getting it's
Hmm.
I need to get it anyway, but that's perceived value. So there's little, and they were, before you got on, they were looking at your Instagram, talking about your 10% deal you have right
Hmm.
now. So talk about how you came up with that, because that's kind of cool.
So I did that in honor of the anniversary of the boutique. So I thought I would give, and it is also another marketing strategy. Everybody loves to get something for a percentage off, or something for less than the original price. So that's where that originated from.
Yeah, and then one thing, you know, we always talk about, because we are a all black community here at Belma Jackson,
Hmm.
is the struggles of black business owners, because you see it online all the time about buy black, support black, and support local as well. Even for the, you know, the people that'll see this later that are not minorities, the supporting of local businesses is important in every community. But
Right.
what struggles have you seen? Obviously, because you know you got the big box stores that can maybe sell something very similar to you.
Hmm.
So, what are
That's right.
the biggest struggles you've seen being a female and being a black business owner there in Greenville?
The biggest struggle, I would say, is financing. Um, with coming up with the funds to for your business. I had to do everything out of pocket pretty much. So it was self-funded.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, I think that is the biggest struggle. Um, yes, definitely.
Now, when we talk about financing, you know, because obviously, and again, this goes back to being patient. You jump into wanting to get a storefront immediately, you're going to be in the hook for $20,000, $30,000 within the first 3 months.
Exactly.
So again, you know, everybody watching now and later, you know, if you want to get into a similar business, you know, start out small. Um,
Yes,
you know, and let's be real, it is tougher for a black woman in this country to get a business loan. You're going to
that's
have
right.
impeccable business credit. Now there are,
Hmm.
I know in Mississippi we have a minority business grant. I'm not sure how
Hmm.
much it is, but you know, it's important to look into things like that to start building business credit, because down the
That's
road,
right.
that's where
You're gonna need it. Hmm.
that's where the financing comes into play. Now, before we get to these questions, and I got some good ones, we had some questions about what a bail bondsman does, because uh, hopefully, hopefully nobody here will ever have the need for one, but it is a need that's not going to go away, because people are going to keep getting arrested. And I'm a big fan of the show Dog the Bounty Hunter, and obviously that's a TV show, and it's not exactly like that. Um,
It is nice. It's
so
fun to
talk
watch,
so
but
it is. So talk a little bit about how that works, and how that's a need that's being met, and a profitable business.
well, right now, it is very profitable. I don't know how much longer it's going to be profitable, because there is a bill reform that's currently in action, which means that there are some people that are trying to take away the need for bail bonds. So hopefully that doesn't go away. However, but how it currently works is someone unfortunately gets goes to jail. So they are given a bond amount to get out. Well, of course, if they're giving a $30,000 bond, the average person doesn't have $30,000 to get out of jail. So that's where you have a middle person, which is me, a bail bondsman. I'm insured by a bond company that gives me a certain amount of money every year to be able to go and sign my name to um, ensure that the person is going to meet all of the specifications that the judge tells them that they're going to be held to. So I get to sign my name to ensure their bond amount, and then I get to charge them a 10% fee of that amount. So they are getting out of jail, which is a plus. And then they also are getting out of jail at a smaller fee, which is the 10% that they give me. Then, of course, I have to give the insurance company 3% of that, just for their services as well. But then, yeah, they'll get out of jail, and then I will be held responsible for that person though until they actually go to their court date that's assigned to them by that judge.
Yeah, so all the adrenaline junkies that want to kick down doors and fight people, you could find a future working for a bail bondsman, because there's definitely it's definitely not for the faint of heart. But I do have some great questions from the students. These are all seniors, and all of them have created their own personal business concepts. So we got a variety of things here. But this first one is Shania Charleston. I think it's Charleston, but I know you're in Greenville, but it's kind of funny. But she's very interested in the cosmetology industry, and
Okay.
she's asking, what is your creation process, and how do you get people involved? How do you get people involved in your creation process and your employees involved?
My creation process. What does she mean by that?
As far as creating things for your brand.
Meaning like marketing.
Yep.
So I do that myself. Um, I research things online, um, and I just take it and make it my own, pretty much. But yeah, all of that is done by me. I just look at different marketing flyers and try to figure out how I can make it my own. And I just do the creation on that.
Yeah, and I know you just got your storefront. Do you have employees as well?
Mhm. Yes, I do.
Okay, and she's asking if you get your employees involved in that process at all.
Not necessarily with creating content, but definitely with getting it out, passing it out and stuff.
Yeah, and it's like we've said, even if you just have a few employees, having them all on
Hmm.
the same page with your mission and your vision, when you begin,
Right.
like, there should never be a question on how an employee should present your business.
Right.
But then that goes to training, and they've done a code of ethics and mission vision statement, and they may think it's silly, but that's vital to training
That's
anybody that
right.
work for you with your name on it. Now,
That's
this Marion Bolden, he's interested in starting a trucking business,
okay.
and he said, what is the main thing you do to set yourself apart from other companies?
Um, well, my boutique is based off of my style. So my style is unique. So that's what sets me apart from everyone else. Everyone is pretty much encapsulates everybody's taste and everybody's um, favor. As with mine, is more so of my style and things that I like. And I think that's what kind of sets me aside
Well,
from
that's
everybody
that's
else.
a big benefit of being an entrepreneur. It's things that you like. Now, you could, if you see something's going to sell well, because and this is really cool. We had a similar business last year in Washington D.C., and she does specialized T-shirt designs. And one of the students
Hmm.
asked if she was ever going to have a scary line, and she had never thought about it. And because of that
Hmm.
one question, she was like, "That'd be a good idea." So she
That's
started
right.
Stranger Things and Halloween line this year of some of the shirts she makes. So, getting feedback from your target markets, and you mentioned your research. That's a big deal.
Definitely.
This is Octavia Johnson, and she asked, "How do you push through your biggest doubts?"
Um, I just keep my eye on the prize. Like I just stay open minded. Um, that's the main thing. You definitely have to stay positive. Feed your brain with positive thoughts, positive reading, inspirational thoughts. Surround yourself with people that's motivating and inspirational. All that helps whenever you get down in the dumps, I should say.
Yeah. Now, the students noticed on your Instagram page that you are your own brand ambassador.
Hmm.
So you model most of your products, which is really cool. So we have two
Yes.
questions about Miles Woodard and Brian Perry. Both asked, Do you enjoy being the model for your own products?
I do. I definitely do. I get to express my individuality that way.
Yeah, and we've had other guests before that were their own brand ambassador, and they said that they at least believe that it gives them their own personal touch because it'll show a customer, look, I'm going to wear this proudly, and
Hmm.
it shows that you have confidence in what you're selling, and
That's
also.
right.
Also, if women look similar to you as far as skin tone or as far as shape or height, they can see
Hmm.
how it will look on them. So it really gives you a way to show how it would look on. And obviously, if you wanted to have a different shaded person or a different size person,
Hmm.
model the things you could do that as well. But I think it really shows a lot about an owner that can do that.
Right.
And I just got one more question. He's finishing it up right now. Uh,
Okay.
uh, but Brian and Miles are both interested in the gaming industry. So, I mean, we have a variety of business concepts that we've had in this class. And we've had, like I said, we've had young people come out of this class and go into business for themselves, even if it was part-time. Now, while I'm waiting on this, we were talking before we came on about how you deal with vendors, because vendors can change their prices. So if you have a vendor
Yes.
change their price, are you going to change?
Okay.
Oh, so if you have a vendor change their price, how will that affect your end price for the consumer?
Well, I use multiple vendors, so I explore all of them first. And then if there's no way around it, I may not use the product anymore, or because I try not to do price increases because they could, of course, have a negative effect. Um, so that's how I manage
So
vendors.
now this is a great question, and this is Justin Clerk. He's also one of our gamer guys. He asked, "How do you respond if a product doesn't sell well and you thought it would?"
Um, how do I respond? Well, you just got to keep going with the flow. Um, so you mark it down for sale to try to get it out and you move on.
Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome. It
Really
was a
great,
pleasure.
really great info. But before we go, um, everybody in here with me now is a young black kid in America in the South as well. So we're in Mississippi. You're over there in South Carolina. So it's a similar demographic makeup,
Hmm.
but it's going to be the same struggles. I don't care. I don't care what color you are. You're gonna, these kids coming out of high school have no idea what's about to hit them. So
That's right.
especially these young black kids. So even if they don't want to be a business owner, you've become extremely successful out there on the East Coast, and
Hmm.
you've done some amazing things, and sounds like doing even more.
Mm.
But yet, you've got over the same obstacles that they're going to face. So,
That's right.
what can they do now to prepare for that to be just as successful as someone like you?
I would say um, find your passion and follow it. Follow your passion. It's easy to follow the money, but that doesn't guarantee long-term happiness. So just follow your passion. Make sure you stick to keeping your credit great. That would be my number one tip. Make sure that you stay on track with your credit. Because no matter where you go, you're going to need that. No matter what you do, you're going to need that. So just make sure you stay on top of that. And as I said before, follow your passion, do what makes you happy, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because they're having an assignment on credit in the spring. They just don't know it yet, but I've already got it planned out. So, uh,
Yes, that's good. I really wished I would have had that. So that is really
because
good.
because it's not just individual credit, because we just talked about the financing with business credit.
Hmm.
It's extremely important to be aware of that.
That's
But
right.
again, Lacovia Stevenson, Greenville, South Carolina, Alamo Beautique. Check her out on Instagram. Great Instagram follow. Great website.
Thank
Got some
you.
really cool stuff going on over there in the Palmetto State. We thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Y'all have a good day.
All right, see you, buddy.
Bye bye.